Woody's show. And they said, this
Okay.
show would have had a theme song, so let's go back to Randy Newman, who's wrote the whole score, and said, write a, 50s type of TV theme. So he wrote it and sang it, and they said, well, that's great, but it sure doesn't sound like a 50s TV. So who can we get to sing it that'll sound, it's a great song.
Sure.
Who can we get to sing it? And we had, luckily, a young man named Ash Brannon, who was one of the producers, said, oh, I know, Riders in the Sky. And they all said, who? So he brought in his little computer and downloaded some yodeling, and they all looked at each other and said, yeah.
Because he was a big fan, wasn't he? He was a big fan.
Yeah, he was a big fan.
And after you recorded that song, how did the entire album come about?
Well, John Lasseter went to the people at Disney Records, who, of course, have a whole children's division, and said, look, we got this great act. Let's pretend like Woody had a jukebox. What would be on it? And so they chose some songs. We got to write some songs about all the different characters, Jesse and Pete the Prospector and Bullseye the Horse and all that.
And you also...
it was a nice combination, and that won a Grammy.
And congratulations on that. That was your first Grammy, and that album was produced by Joey, wasn't it?
Yes, Joey had built up a career in the 90s, oddly enough, producing mostly Western records. He produced Herb Jeffries and Michael Martin Murphy and Sons of the San Joaquin, Don Edwards, and a lot of the acts who were following in our footsteps in the 90s and picking up Western music. And that was sort of its real renaissance era, was the 90s. And he was a big part of that because he produced so many of those albums.
And wasn't it about a couple years later you won your second Grammy for contributions to the Monsters, Inc. Scream Factory Favorites, a CD from Pixar's another award-winning movie?
Right. We had done the music for the Birds, which is a little short that came before Toy Story. Came before Monsters Incorporated. Pixar always does a little short that has nothing to do with the movie. Oh. And this is the one about the birds on the telephone wire. People who've seen it will remember it.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
Yeah, well, we did the music for it. And so John Lasseter came to Disney and said, let's do an album, get these guys in and do an album of monster songs. So I can safely say that's the first entire album of monster songs done by a Western band in the history of the recording industry.
Quite an accomplishment, really.
Really.
And you've also appeared on many other television programs, including Disney Stanley, and various talk shows, and have even shared the screen with Daffy Duck, if I remember correctly.
An episode of Duck Dodgers. It was pretty exciting.
Do you have a favorite TV appearance that you've made in the past? Not to put you on the spot.
I'm trying to think. The Grammys.
Oh, of course, yes.
That's pretty big. No, not especially. I suppose that year on the 13 shows on CBS would certainly be the highlight of our our career, because even though it was Saturday morning, it was still network television.
Of course.
That's hard to beat.
No, sure. And you've what also is hard to beat is that you have performed at the White House several times, too. Could you tell us a little bit about those performances, please? Well, every
year there's a congressional barbecue, and the president hosts it at the White House, and all members of Congress come, and it's just very informal. It's supposed to be a casual and a friendship thing, bipartisan, both parties. Everybody's very polite to each other. And so we are the natural guys to do it, I suppose.
Sure.
We played for the Clintons, and that was great fun. And Bill and Hillary both had great senses of humor. They put on our hats and clowned around, but they didn't ever let those pictures out. And George Bush sat right in front of the stage and signed autographs and shook hands for the entire length of our set. He heard the whole thing.
Sure, I know the Bushes are huge fans of traditional style music, country western.
That was a treat, whether you like either one of those guys or don't. You honor the office, and
sure.
We did.
Now, did you also play at the annual Easter egg hunt at the White House, too?
We did. That was also during the Bush years, but he wasn't there at that time. He didn't show up.
I thought I remembered seeing a picture of you guys in the lobby of the White House in the Silver Jubilee album booklet. And,
right.
You're also members of the Western Music Association's Hall of Fame and the Country Music Foundation's Walkway of Stars and the Walk of Western Stars in California, along with Gene and Roy and John Wayne and other cowboy legends. That is probably quite an achievement too, I would say. And,
you
huge
know,
achievement.
you got to feel it. Awfully honored to do that.
And to have your, to be right next to your heroes there too on the same walk.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's I've often thought we were just a continuation of a living history.
Sure.
And we are.
And I guess I got one more thing here, and
okay.
I
get to run and do the Grand Ole Opry tonight, so I got to take off here in a second anyway.
You also host your own radio show, Ranger Doug's Classic Cowboy Corral, on XM satellite radio too, don't you?
Right, at Channel 10 at I guess it's 10 o'clock in the morning, your time, Eastern time.
Yes, and
XM Channel 10.
I try to catch it as much as I can. A fabulous program, and
thanks.
I guess then I might ask you quick, what's next? What are your plans for the future?
Well, just to wrap up the Classic Cowboy Corral, I just have so much historic Western music, and even though they have a traditional country channel on XM, they don't play the real old-time cowboy stuff, Gene and Roy, and even way before them. So I went to them and said, let's do an hour a week of the real deal, not this modern stuff. And they said, okay.
Sure.
So that's how that happened. What's coming up? Well, we're going to film 8 episodes of a cliffhanger for a commercial for an outfit called Yellowwood.
Oh, wow.
Which, you won't get to see, unfortunately. It's a regional product, treated wood and decking products and stuff like that. But it's very big in the Southeast, which is going to be interesting for us because that's never been a good territory for us. We always play most in the West and Midwest.
Sure.
So we'll be doing, we're going out to Monument Valley and, really do it just like John Ford did it and film these commercials for Yellowwood. That's one big thing. We've written some music for, although they used a Dixieland band to play it, but for the latest 2 newest attractions at Disneyland.
Oh, wow.
The rides you go on, we'll have our music, the songs that Woody didn't actually. Slim and Joey and I wrote.
Sure.
And we have 2 albums we're working on. That's pretty exciting. And there's a show on the RFD TV, which is the real rural station. But they have a cartoon show called Jasper, and we're doing all the music, the theme song, and the incidental music and everything. So the career's still popping and sizzling.
Sure. One last question: where's Woody? Where's Woody?
No one ever knows. Where does the wind blow?
Oh, well, thank you so much for appearing on my show, Ranger Doug. This has been really great. I've had a lot of fun, and I know everyone listening did, and you're just a true legend, and I thank you so much for keeping traditional Western music alive.
Well, thanks. You're kind to say so. Sometimes we feel like a voice in the wilderness, of course, but we've had fun doing it, too, and it stayed fun, and I think that's part of what's been the secret to our success. People like to see grown-up men having a good time, and if we can keep a wonderful style of American music alive while we're doing that, then we've really done something special.
Sure, and thank you again. And here's one of my favorite songs that you sing, Lonely Yukon Stars.
Thank you.